Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining the TradeStation Masterclass. For those that are new to the TradeStation Masterclass series, my name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation Securities. And we do topics ranging from EasyLanguage, which is today's main topic, technical analysis, and strategy trading. So make sure that you check out our calendar of events. We have different topics coming up, and they're posted and updated regularly on the event page. If you go to tradestation.com, you're going to see a learn section at the very top. You hover over it, and that gives you access to events. So let's go through some of the disclosures before we start on the topic of today's presentation. Just keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations of TradeStation. Also, that active trading is not suitable for everyone, and past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. For additional information on these disclosures, go to www.tradestation.com/important-information. Okay, so today we are going to talk a little bit about alerting inside of the TradeStation platform. And to understand alerts, we may have to talk a little bit about the functionality, what all the checkboxes mean, and all the different alert behaviors that there are. And then we'll go into the code, the EasyLanguage code, so that we can make some modifications and see how flexible those alert messages can be. But before we get started, here are some alert essentials. By the way, I was going to share this PowerPoint with you, and I just hadn't done it. So let me go ahead and share this link with everyone in the chat. The PDF just has the same information that I'm going to show here in the PowerPoint, which are just, talking points and some things that we should remember when we're dealing with alerts. The first thing is you can enable an alert for almost any study available in chart analysis or radar screen. Strategies do not support alerts. Let's try to digest that. Yeah, most indicators, most studies inside of the TradeStation platform have this ability for you to turn alerts on. You don't have to necessarily program the alert because every study or every strategy will have criteria that triggers these alerts. All you need to do is just go in there into the settings and enable the alert. So it's as simple as that. One very common question in TradeStation clients is, okay, how do I enable the alert on a specific study? Well, let me go over here to my TradeStation platform, and let me just put on a very simple study. I'm going to go here to add study, and let's just choose a moving average one line. Moving average, one line, simple. Let's go ahead and click OK. All right, so the indicator goes inside of the chart, and all you need to do is double click on the study, and this is a shortcut. Of course, you can go to studies and click on edit studies. That requires a few more clicks than just having to double click on a study. Everybody, if you've been with me in masterclass, you know that I'm a fan of shortcuts and how do you get to these dialogues in a faster way. So here we have the alerts tab, and all you need to do is enable the alert. That's all you do. But all these different behaviors we're going to go through and understand them, one by one. As I said before, most studies in TradeStation, or at least the ones that are supplied with the TradeStation platform, have alert criteria already programmed in. This one in particular is a moving average one line. From this dialog, I can click on Edit EasyLanguage right there at the bottom. And if you're new to EasyLanguage, by the way, EasyLanguage is a proprietary language in TradeStation that allows you to create custom studies and custom strategies. I'm going to go to the EasyLanguage for a moment and show you where the alert criteria is found. So this is the EasyLanguage code. It's not very extensive for the moving average. You can see there's only 33 lines of code, and most of it is, plain text. This green block of text is just annotations. It's not really part of the programming. But you can see that on line 20, I see alert criteria. And in every EasyLanguage document, you're going to find a section that is labeled alert criteria, which controls what triggers the alert. A lot of times, as a trader, you may want to modify that. In this particular case, if it's just a moving average one line, um, the alert is when the price crosses over or crosses under that moving average. Very simple idea, very simple indicator. So there's not much you can change to that alert, right? But when it comes to other types of studies that are a little bit more intricate and a little bit more elaborate, you may want to modify the behavior. Maybe I want to generate an alert when something else happens, a variation. So knowing where to find the alert block, it's important if you want to make modifications to them. And most studies in TradeStation are built in this same structure where you have a block of code that is labeled alert criteria. In this case, we're looking for the price to cross over the average or the price to cross under the average. That's what the alert criteria is. And if it happens, I'm going to get an alert. Let me go back here to my PowerPoint because we're going to go through some of the elements of alerts. One thing that is also mentioned here on this first bullet point is that strategies do not support alerts. So if I were to come back here to my TradeStation platform and I had a strategy, let me go ahead and add a strategy, the strategy that is based on this same technical idea. That would be the moving average cross long entry, and I'm going to do the short entry, both. So this is the strategy. As you can see, anytime that the price activity crosses above, we get a long entry. And anytime that the price activity crosses below the average, we get a short entry. That's what the strategies do. They find every single instance where the strategy criteria was met. Now, if I go to the settings of the strategy, let me double click on one of these arrows. You're going to see that you don't find alert buttons here. Let me go to customize here. You only have access to inputs, entries, exits, and calculations. It's not like the studies where you have a dedicated alert tab. It doesn't happen for the strategies. For strategies, it doesn't mean that we don't have alerts for strategy, though. They're just set up differently. The alerts we're going to talk about today do not apply to strategies. Strategies have a different way of generating alerts. And if you're interested, I'm going to do this for those of you that are asking, where do I find alerts for the strategies? Well, come here to, I just had to think a little bit here because sometimes my mind just goes blank. The strategy information, whenever the strategy is working on the chart, is sending information over to an application within TradeStation that we call the Trade Manager. So in order for you to get alerted when the strategy generates an order, that is an alert that is controlled by the Trade Manager. So apps, let me go here to Trade Manager. And once you have a Trade Manager open, from the Trade Manager window, go to Settings, and then click on Preferences. And the Preferences tab is where you find all the notifications on, new strategy order. You have new strategy order, strategy canceled order, strategy filled order. So this is the place where you would have to set up the alert for the strategy. Now, this is a small parenthesis that I opened up just for you guys, if you're asking, where do I set alerts for strategies? But let me go back here to my indicator. Okay, and go back here to the PowerPoint. And the second bullet point says you must enable the alert for each study individually. They're disabled by default. Could you just imagine if we had alerts enabled by default? All of a sudden, you have all these technical studies in a chart, and if they decide to all fire at the same time, it could be very overwhelming. not to freak you out if you have your volume, raised all the way up. So you want to be careful about alerts, and that's why the decision was made to disable all alerts from the get-go. So if you do want to be alerted on any study, you do have to go in there and enable the alert individually for each one of the studies. There's no overall turn on button. Sometimes I wish there were. I haven't had the need of wanting one in a while because you usually want to customize alerts per study individually. But many users have requested I turn all on and turn all off. which we don't have. So individually, every alert has to be enabled and disabled individually. You can receive alert notifications in several different ways, including a small window pop-up, an audible alert, or email or text messages sent to you. If you come over here to my platform, let's say that I double click on my study and I go to the alerts tab. For the message center notification, let me enable this for a moment. Notice that it's using the global messaging preferences. If I click on configure, then you can see all those behaviors that we talked about just a moment ago. You see the audible. You have access to sounds. By default, it's set to beep. This is the Windows default beep, but you can select a sound. Let me play this to see if you guys hear it. I think I selected to share my sound, so you should have heard the auga message or the auga sound. If I go to this drop down, you have all these different sounds that you can play for any study. So feel free to, customize the alert message on any of the indicators that you have on the chart, because sometimes, you may set different sounds based on the study that you're using, and just by hearing it, you know exactly which study was the one that triggered the alert. If you're not happy with all the sounds that we provide here in the alert messaging, which there's a lot, so go through all of these and start playing them to see what they sound like. But you can click on configure and browse for different wave files that you can play. TradeStation is compatible with wave files. If your sound or favorite tune or a music that you'd like to play when an alert is triggered, whatever the sound is, it must be in wave format in order for TradeStation to read it. But you can browse through it and point to it from here, which I think it's very, very cool that you can bring in your own sounds. Again, I haven't had the need to do so, but if you don't like any of the sounds that we provide, you're welcome to, bring in your own. A few more things here that I'll talk about. Play once or play continuously. Play continuously is just one after the other. Sometimes that could be annoying, but it is your preference, and I would test both. I don't think the plays continuous. Let me try. No, it just plays once. But I think once the alert is triggered, then I think it just plays the sound in a loop. You have the visual pop-up. This is the standard one that pops up at the bottom right corner of the screen for 15 seconds. You can configure that if you'd like. And then you can set email here at the very bottom and then click configure. Yes, you do have to configure email. It's not as easy as providing an email address. I wish it was, but you need to put in the information about, the SMTP server, also authentication if it requires authentication. So a lot of this information is provided by your email service provider, and you can even Google this information to know exactly what to put in here. But those are the type of things or the type of alerts that you can set up. And go back here to the PowerPoint. So alerts can be a window pop-up, an audible alert, or an email or text message. I see a comment here. Thank you, Tony. In order for an alert to be sent by email, is it necessary to have TradeStation running? The answer to that, Tony, is yes. You do need TradeStation running. At the present time, all the alerts that you set up on the TradeStation desktop, we're talking about the desktop version, are saved locally on your computers. In order for TradeStation desktop to send an alert, yes, you have to have it running. TradeStation has to be connected to the internet so that then it can send that alert out as well. If you set up an alert on the mobile device, which is the TradeStation mobile app, or you set it up on the TradeStation web trading platform, those are server-based. So if you set up a price alert or a volume alert on those two platforms, you'll get them wherever you are. So those are server-based. But anything that happens or anything that is triggered on the desktop requires, TradeStation to be open and running. You can save the alert settings with the workspace, which is cool because you don't have to reset them every single time. The workspace containing the study, and this is to what Tony was talking about. The workspace containing the study where the alert has been set up must be open, but the workspace does not have to be the active workspace. What does that mean? It means that, as a TradeStation user, you probably have multiple workspaces tabs at the bottom of your TradeStation platform. Now, the one that has the alert doesn't necessarily have to be visible, but it does have to be open. So you do have to see the tab opened at the bottom of your TradeStation desktop, but it doesn't have to be the visible workspace. You can be working on something else and have the open workspace in the background, and the alert would still be monitored and will still be triggered if it was met. The alert criteria is a set of rules that are programmed and used only in the study's EasyLanguage code. We already talked about the block of code that is inside of the EasyLanguage document and how easy it is to identify it. It is recognized as a special block of code. That's exactly what I just said. You can modify the alert rules or add additional alert rules using EasyLanguage. It's best to modify a copy of the study. Anytime you're going to change anything on EasyLanguage, we always recommend that you create a copy of the document so that you don't lose the original document. We always need the original to refer back to what it was before. So make sure that if you want to make modifications, that you save it as a copy so that it creates a duplicate. All right. David, great to have you as well. Thank you for the reminder. We are discussing, the availability of live events again, and now that COVID is kind of under control. I'm going to say completely gone because it's not gone. I have a few friends of mine that caught COVID yesterday, so I know that it's still out there, but we are, thinking about starting these live sessions or live events one more time. So thank you for that, David. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about alert settings. The three settings that are part of the dialog when you turn on the alert is alert once per bar, and alert continuously. Let me go back here to my TradeStation. Those are right here at the very top. You see the three bullet points. Alert once is exactly what it means. Once the alert is triggered and you get that very first pop-up message or that first sound, it's going to disable it. And then you have to manually go in there and enable it if you want to be alerted one more time. This one right here, the second one, is alert once per bar based on the interval. What that means is that it'll look at whatever time frame you have on the chart, and you'll get an opportunity to get the alert every time that there's a new candle. So we have an opportunity here to get the alert every 5 minutes because we said that it's alert once per bar. Or you have the option to alert continuously, which is every single tick that meets the criteria. A lot of times that could be overwhelming. That could be annoying. If you have, multiple symbols that are highly active and you have them alerting continuously, just imagine what happens if there's a big shift in the market and all these symbols start to trigger alerts at the same time continuously. And, it could create some havoc on your computer, having to, get rid of all these pop-up messages or all these sounds that are happening on your computer. So make sure that you are aware of the behavior and what exactly is it that you want to happen in your TradeStation so that you choose the appropriate one, okay? In addition to that, you have the alert frequency. This is not the frequency. I'm sorry. The frequency is the one that was before that. This is the alert messaging style. There's three also. Let me go back here to so that was just a slide that was mistitled. It's not the frequency. The frequency was the one before that because it talks about how frequent you want the alert. This one is, what is it that you want the alert to look like? None meaning that you don't get any pop-up messages, you don't get any sounds, nothing audible. This works great for radar screen alerts. In fact, in parentheses, it says for use when scanning for alerts in radar screen. Whenever I do my scanning presentation on radar screen, I use this setting because you're looking at your radar screen. You want to use the alert as a filtering mechanism, not really as a way of notifying you that something's happening, audibly or visually. You just want to make sure that you're using it as a filter. So there's none over here. Yes, disables all the sounds, disables all the pop-up messages, because you're using the alert more as a filter than as a, no, hey, let me know when this is happening. You have the global messaging preferences, which is the one that is set as default. So you can set the preferences just once, and it'll apply to all the strategies. Sorry, did I say the word strategies is not strategies? It'll apply to all the studies that have an alert enabled. That's why it's called global messaging preferences. And of course, if you want to separate or personalize some alerts differently, you can use custom settings and say, I want my moving averages to play the auga sound. And I want my Bollinger Bands to play the siren rather. If that's the case, if you want to separate the type of alert that's being triggered, then use custom setting. And then you have the button here on the right-hand side that allows you to configure. As we said at the beginning of the presentation, any settings that you supply will be saved with the workspace, okay? And that's it. That's the last slide on that presentation. Perfect. Let me go over here to my TradeStation, because now I want to show you a few things about alerting in EasyLanguage. Let me go back here to my code. In the meantime, I'm going to remove this strategy because I'm not using it, and I'm just going to get rid of it. Okay, let me snooze that. I don't need another meeting in the middle of a class, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at this indicator. Let me double click on it. Let me go to, actually, I wanted to go to the EasyLanguage. So let me go ahead and I have the EasyLanguage development environment here. We have the price crossing over and the price crossing under. Let me just leave it the way it is. I'm going to go back to my TradeStation. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this Tesla chart into a 10-second chart. Okay, so every 10 seconds, I get a new candle. Let me go ahead and double click on that in that indicator or the study line. I'm going to go to the alerts, enable alert. I'm going to say alert once per bar. Remember, if it's continuous, if there's a tick that flips continuously over and under, over and under, over and under, you'll get that many number of alerts. So make sure that you use alert continuously, knowing what the behavior is going to be. Alert once per bar means that if I have a 10-second bar, I can get an alert every 10 seconds. I'm going to enable the alert once per bar. The global messaging preferences are okay, and I'm going to click OK. And this is what the alert looks like. Notice that we had a cross to the bottom side, and now it's alerting. And it says price crossing under average. Of course, every time, I got the alert on this bar, we just crossed under the average. And it's not until it crosses over the average that I get the alert again. But you can see the alert behaving. And I just changed the chart to a 10-second time frame so that I could trigger these alerts a little bit faster. I also want you guys to look at the A indicator on the top left corner of the chart, because that A in blue just means that I have an alert enabled. And the fact that it has a pink letter A means that my alert was just triggered. Now, the price is moving downward on Tesla, meaning that very soon I should get a crossover on that moving average. Let's just wait. There we go. As soon as it crosses, there we go. It crossed over, and then I get my alert down here. If you click on the alert link that is on that pop-up, I think it'll send you to the chart that triggered that alert. If you wanted to see a record of every single alert that was triggered, go to the view menu right here at the very top and bring up something called the message center. It's right here, part of the messages menu, message center. And if I open this up, you can see that I'm getting alerts for Tesla on the moving average one line. Tells me the interval that is triggering the alert, and it tells me the info, price crossing over average, and which price triggered the alert, the date, and the time. So at any time, if you're looking for, hey, what alerts have I missed? You can come here to the message center and see a list of those alerts in chronological sequence. This info that you see here, price crossing under average, is exactly what's provided inside quotations as part of the alert. Makes it very very informative. So if you're creating your own custom EasyLanguage and you use the word alert to trigger your alert, make sure that you supply a message inside quotations so that it tells you what the alert is there for. That same message shows up right here in this pop-up window where it says price crossing over average. Let me go ahead and change my time frame to something a little bit not as crazy. Let me go to 30 seconds. Okay, so that's a 30-second chart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here to the study. Notice that it clears the alert. See the blue box on the top left? It doesn't have that pink A anymore because it hasn't triggered the alert, but it'll be pink if it's a real-time alert. What I want to do now is I want to go here to configure, and I want to use the voice, which is text to speech. So this actually allows me, or allows my computer, to read the text that is part of the EasyLanguage. So whatever text you supply in here, price crossing over average, that should be read by my computer using the text to speech engine. Let me go back here to my TradeStation voice text to speech. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm just going to click OK. So we're going to wait for a crossover and see if my computer reads that message to me. Right now, we just crossed up. Let me open up my chart. We're looking for the price to cross down. Let's give it a few seconds. We're right on top of that line. Tesla moves very rapidly, so we shouldn't have to wait so long. But let's see what happens on that current bar.
Price crossing under average.
Did you guys hear that? I heard my computer price
crossing under average.
There we go. It happened again. So that's Microsoft's text to speech engine. That's not something that it's nothing that TradeStation has. It's just using the Microsoft text to speech engine. And I know that there are some more sophisticated voices out there that look or sound voices that look voices that sound more human-like. So it's all for you to explore. TradeStation just has the checkbox that turns messages into voice, and you can have your TradeStation platform speak to you. They say trading is a lonely game, so having your platform speak to you may make your experience a little bit better, right? All right, so that's it. So let's go ahead and double click in here, configure, and that's the voice or the text to speech. Okay, perfect. Let me go and disable. I wasn't going to disable. Okay, a couple more things that I wanted to tell you. Oh, somebody's asking about the exclamation mark. When you go to the code and you see an exclamation mark, there's a feature that I haven't used yet, but it's more for international or multiple language translation, where you can have a marker and then switch the language of messages or the language of tooltips. For example, you find it here at the top as well. Let's see. We don't have the exclamation mark up here, but many times you find the exclamation mark here, the exclamation mark here. And I think there's a feature that allows you to switch, those messages from one language to the next. I haven't used it a lot because most of my classes are done in English, but for those programmers that, may program for different people in different countries, they may use that for translation purposes. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at, so we did the text to speech, which reads the message that's in here. And it can read anything you put inside of those quotation marks. So feel free to create as many messages as you need. And that's it. When you want to switch the alert criteria, back here to my chart. Let me remove this study. I'm going to go back here to adding another study, because I'm going to show you an example of how you can modify the alert. One of the alerts is, let's go to Bollinger Bands. Okay, so this is my Bollinger Band study. The alert criteria, let me right click on the Bollinger Band and click on Edit EasyLanguage for Bollinger Band. All right, this is the code. There's a lot of inputs, variables. I'm going to scroll down, and I should be able to see this block of text that says alert criteria right there in line 88. And the first thing that it does is it checks to see if alert is enabled. Alert enabled, notice that it's all one word, and notice that it's in blue. It's a reserved word in EasyLanguage that checks to see if you have the checkbox and checked for enable alert. The reason for that is because this avoids EasyLanguage to read the block of the alert criteria. If it's not enabled, it'll just skip this whole section. And it makes your code a little bit more efficient, because what's the point of, reading your alert criteria if it's not going to trigger it? So if there's an alert enabled, then it begins reading the alert. But if it's not, it'll just skip it altogether. Let's see. Here, the test price L band crosses over lower band. The test price L band, it's an input. And if I go up here, it's right here, the test price L band and the test price U band, upper band, lower band. And as you can see, the default for those two is the closing price. So the alert criteria, let me come back down here. The alert criteria is looking for the closing price to cross over the lower band. Notice the syntax. It says crosses over the lower band, not under the lower band, but over the lower band. So if I look at my chart and I'm looking at the lower band right here, what I'm looking for is not for the price to break the bottom band like it did, a few bars ago. It broke to the bottom side. What it's looking for is for the prices to have already broken the bottom band and then return inside, because the alert criteria is cross over this bottom band. So it has to be on the other side first before it can cross over. So the behavior is a little bit different when it comes to triggering the alert. What if you wanted to be alerted whenever the crossover happens? So like, for example, right now, see the current price activity, it's inside the Bollinger Band channel. What if we want to be alerted as soon as it crosses to the upside or as soon as it crosses to the bottom side? So that requires a change on the alert criteria. So those are the type of things you can do. I'm going to come over here to my Bollinger Band, and I'm going to go to File and click on Save As. Always remember, if you're modifying the code, save it as a different one so that you can have the original in place. I'm going to call this Bollinger Band Alert. I'm going to click OK. And now if you look at the tab right here for this indicator, it says Bollinger Bands Alerts. It's not the Bollinger Bands anymore, which is okay, because now I can make all modifications and still have the original Bollinger Bands for me to access. And what I'm going to do here is I want the close to cross over, and I'm just going to change this word to under lower band. I may have to change the message to price crossing under lower band. And the other side, if it crosses under upper band, I'm going to say this under and turn it into an over. And then change the price crossing over upper price band. So as soon as I verify this, let me go ahead and make the code verified. Verification, it's a way for the EasyLanguage to see if there's any blatant errors in your code. And if it's able to verify, it means that it didn't find anything obviously wrong. It verified it didn't find any roadblocks. So I'm going to go back here into my Tesla chart. Let's go here to 10 seconds so that it updates a little bit faster. We're going to take a look at the original alert. So I'm going to double click here, enable the alert once per bar, and then just click OK. So this is inside the channel. You know, very soon we should have something coming out or coming in. You're going to see that if it penetrates the bottom, it won't generate the alert. It'll only generate it if it goes down and up again. We're right in the middle of that line, so it may take a few minutes for this to go to the upper channel or the lower channel. Let's go ahead and check. By the way, if you guys have any questions, feel free to send those questions in the chat. I'm looking at the chat once in a while to make sure that I don't miss anything. So we almost broke that bottom band. You see, the wick of that candle is almost touching that red line. Didn't quite cross it though. And again, this is the original version. This is the one that is not going to alert when it crosses, is going to alert when it returns from having crossed over. Okay, our bands are getting closer to the price activity, so our chances of getting that alert are increasing as we speak. So let's see. This is a 10-second bar, so it moves very quickly. There we go. We crossed above, no alert. But then as soon as it crossed under, there we go. We get the alert. You saw that? It was a little bit of a time. Once it crossed over, that's not what triggered the alert, is when it returned. Now I can remove this indicator and use the one that I just modified. Let me go here to studies, add studies, and I think I called it Bollinger Band alert. Here it is, Bollinger Bands alert. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to enable the alert again, once per bar, and then click OK. Let me go ahead and, yeah. All right. So we're almost crossing. Notice that we are right below the band. If it's able to go to the other side of that upper band, we should get an alert when it crosses over, not when it returns. Let's see, almost, there we go. See, it actually crossed it, and actually we got the alert. So be aware of alert criteria. A lot of times, you know, what you think the alert is not really. So if at any moment you have questions about, okay, what is it that is triggering my alert? Go inside the code, find the block that is labeled, you know, what is it called? Strategy, strategy. I keep on using that word, strategy. Alert criteria. You find the block that is labeled alert criteria, look at the alert conditions, and if it's not what you're looking for, you can go in there and modify those rules at any moment. Tony's asking, does TS offer intro tutorials to EasyLanguage that goes over start to finish setting up a study? Yes, we do. In fact, we have a what's called a home study course. I don't have it handy here to share with you, but if you guys send an email to education@tradestation.com, let me go ahead and put that email address right here. Education@tradestation.com. We have a PDF that talks about the basics of EasyLanguage, and it takes you from, you know, step 1 to step 10. If there was a step 10, I think it's more like step 1 to step 1521. But yeah, send me an email and I'll send that PDF over to you guys. Okay. And that's it. I think that's my class. I just wanted to show you some of the functionality around alerting, some of the behaviors, that text to speech engine, you know, how you can go inside of the code and find the alert criteria block. Look at the conditions, know that you can modify them. Make sure that you save the study as a different one so that you don't modify the original and then call it a day. Then you can have an indicator that triggers the alert exactly the way you're looking for. All right. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. We have multiple topics coming up related to all different categories. So make sure that you check out the events calendar for the upcoming classes. Make sure you join me tomorrow for our Getting Started. If you're new to TradeStation, on Wednesdays, we do Getting Started classes. They are at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and we can use that opportunity to talk about any TradeStation's functionality. Yeah, all classes are recorded. They do have to go through some editing and some compliance review. So it takes about a day or two to get that posted. But yeah, all the classes are posted inside of the TradeStation YouTube channel, all right? Thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I hope to see you in one of my future classes. Goodbye, everyone. Great having you.